Hey everybody, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Total Ramblings. We've got we've got a Lego episode today, but not a new set. In fact, some quite old sets. Sets that are, some of them are over 45 years old. We're talking Lego Space today. So way back in episode 95, I showed you, I think it was my Alpha 1 rocket base, possibly my Beta 1 command center, and my moon base that I had set up. Well, I've been kind of picking up space sets recently. There were about maybe a dozen that I wanted to get, and a few of them are here with me right now. Let's start with the smallest one. And I'll tell you a little story about my original Lego Classic Space collection, because you see, this one here, this is set 889 Radar Truck. Now, since I've built this, since this has turned up, I have come to the conclusion that I didn't actually have this one, but it is definitely from my era. So this one was, I believe, 1979. And this cost me a total of £8.81 on eBay. Actually, I think it was £10.98 including postage. So let's do the postage prices. So basically we have a classic red smiley spaceman. His face is a little bit worn here. His logo is very worn, but one leg's slightly looser than the other, but he's quite tight actually. He's quite good. Yeah, and this, as I say, this came out in 1979. Now I remember getting a whole load of classic space Lego sets one Christmas. Probably would have been, I remember which house it was in. So this would have been 1980 or 1981. And I've been messing around with this one for the last couple of days, and I don't think I had this one, but it definitely fits in with the era that I am collecting. Now what you'll see is we've got 4 wheels with the old metal axles here. Very simple construction. Radar dish kind of goes up and down, and we've got this kind of piece here that I always thought was a gun. But yeah, and then at the front here we've got spare oxygen tanks. Now you'll notice these oxygen tanks, they get very kind of, they're very susceptible to bending and breakage, and you'll see this one, it's bent upwards a little, and they never really did sit on these jumper studs very easily, but this one, I mean, you've barely got to look at it really and it comes off. But this set is 46 years old. This one didn't come with instructions. I had to kind of just build it based on what I could see. And there we go, that's the smallest one. So I had, as I say, I had a whole load of classic space Lego as a boy. And I remember I had a big sprawling moon base. I had the Galaxy Explorer. I had the 918, which was always kind of like my fighter. I probably mentioned this when I was talking about my more recent moon base. And what happened one year was, my era was the white and red spacemen. I think I got out of it just before the yellow guys started coming out, but we'll come to that at the end of this video. But essentially, I used to build my moon base on the lounge floor, and I also used to build it on the patio in the garden. We had a very large garden. We lived in the countryside. And one year I had built it, and I was due, this is bad planning on my part, this is a child thing. So I would have been about 10, 11. I had built it in the garden, and I was due to go to my grandma's for 2 weeks. I used to go to my grandma's for 2 weeks during the summer every year. And I left my Lego space base out in the garden, stupidly thinking that my parents, my mother and my stepfather, would take it in for me, and they didn't. And over the 2 weeks, it got filthy, it got rained on. Our dog well, I've got one of these large, I've got a large radar dish still with her teeth marks in it, and basically it got ruined. It got ruined, and my space Lego ended up being given away to my cousin Matthew, who was my best friend growing up. He was my cousin, he was my best friend. Sadly, no longer with us. He's not been with us now for about 20 years. I won't go into the story, but another friend of mine that I've lost. I've had 3 people in my life that I've called best friends, and they're all gone. Yeah. And that's kind of why I got out of space Lego. Also, I mean, my mum had moved us to the countryside in the middle of bloody nowhere, and I didn't get to the shops very often. Anyway, this set, I definitely had this set. So this set is set 6822. It's the Space Digger. Now, what's nice about this one, if I can find it, I'm fairly certain, yes, it's over here. In fact, I haven't combined them yet. This one came with the instructions. Now, here's a real blast from the past. Old world, old-fashioned Lego instructions. Look at that. One sheet of paper, double-sided, full colour, but that's it. Nowadays, there'd be a little tiny booklet for this. But basically, this sort of thing kind of skims across the lunar surface. It's got these kind of hovery kind of jet thingies and picks up samples with this bendy arm here. And the mouth opens, and you even get a piece of material or whatever to pick it up with if you want. We've also got these rockety things for manoeuvring. The aerial stays on very nice. And here we have another, excuse me, red spaceman. Again, he's pretty good. His face is not worn as the other one. He's got a walkie-talkie. His logo is slightly better. But yeah, he's looking pretty good. So there we go. That's the Space Digger. And like I say, none of these ones that I've bought have come with boxes, but some of them have come with instructions, which is lovely, because old Lego instructions are a joy. Now, I'm not knocking the new Lego instructions. They're brilliant. But new Lego instructions, essentially, every new piece, they will highlight the new pieces that you need, and then they'll highlight where they appear on the model. This, admittedly, it's a very simple model. There's none of that. Basically, you just have to do a spot the difference comparison between the two. And it can be, on the larger sets, quite easy to miss where new pieces are being introduced. Especially when you've got a large base plate, you've got to sort of count the number of studs across, etc., etc. And also here we've got some alternate builds, photos, no instructions for them, but I mean, this is a really straightforward set, right? So you could easily build these. And these instructions are in really, really pristine condition. So that's the next largest set. The next one is definitely another one that I had 100%. And let me just dig out the details of this one for you. This is, what is it? The Probe Launcher, is that what it's called? Where is my purchase? Oh, I forgot to say, the buggy, sorry, this Space Digger, this cost me £13.82 on eBay. Right, the next one, it's a Space Probe Launcher, set 6870. It cost me £23.39. Now, I do have instructions for it. Here we are. These are the original instructions for it. Again, really straightforward. Just a slightly larger piece of paper, albeit full colour. I do remember appreciating as a child that these were in fact full colour. What I like about this set is the contrast between the grey of the sort of the transport and the white of the space probe. And I also seem to remember as a child really liking the fact that they had like things that you could push these through to kind of really make them secure. Yeah, so again, very straightforward instructions. Side 1 starts with the space probe and just finishes with it at the top there, and then we've got the sort of transport. No alternate builds shown in these instructions, but those instructions looking pretty good. One red spaceman with this set whose legs have just come off. Bear with me while I just extricate his legs. And that's the thing I find with some of these older spacemen, is that their legs come off quite easily. So there we go. Very nice looking minifigure. Helmet's intact. Quite often they get a breakage just about here, and we'll see that in a minute. Very nice looking face. Good looking logo. Looks really nice. He's a really, really, really tight figure. Almost detrimentally so, but not quite. And so, as we saw in the instructions, there's kind of 2 parts to this build. Well, actually 3 parts to the build, really. So we've got this trailer here at the back with 4 wheels, and it has a sort of a raising section, which we'll show you with the space probe bar. And then we've got the sort of the tractor section at the front, which doesn't really stand on its own because it's only got 2 wheels. So this thing is designed to be sort of permanently coupled. Just click that in there. Okay. We've got these rocket pods again. So I'm assuming this is some sort of thrust or exhaust or something. A little ladder piece at the front. Whether that's meant to be a grill or an actual ladder, I don't know. And here we have the actual space probe itself with a very large aerial. I seem to remember these aerials coming off really easily, but this one is actually nice and tight. Good looking space logo on there. Some of the Lego is a little bit yellowed, but I mean, it's old. So yeah, and as we'll see, the space probe sits on there, and this is articulated. And what you can do is you can raise this for launching. And if you want to launch it completely vertically, you can, although I kind of had it more like that. Only one space guy with this set. Again, his legs have come off again. So if you want him, if you want someone, excuse me, I've got to take this apart to get his legs off. If you want someone to actually fly the space probe, then it's this guy, basically. I don't know why you would drive a truck out into the middle of the lunar desert and then launch a space probe, unless he's doing some sort of planetary survey and needs to get an aerial view. But you'd think they'd have drones, wouldn't you? Anyway, there you go. There you go. So basically he can sit like that if he wants to. So, as I say, nice contrast between the grey and the white here. So this is the 3rd one that I bought. Now, the next one I bought, also another one that I definitely had as a child. It is this one. And already you can see, again, we can see the flimsiness of these air tanks. You can see that one's bent quite badly up, and it barely kind of sits on the front. This is set 897, also known as set 462 in other territories. I can't remember which way round it was. It's the mobile rocket launcher. Now, what you're supposed to do is it's articulated. So we have this trailer at the back with the rocket launcher, and the front part of the rocket probe sits on here. And then you've got the rocket itself, and then that elevates, and you can kind of launch the rocket vertically if you want. I seem to recall that I always had the probe attached, although now that I see that it's attached, it will interfere with this. No, actually, no, it's okay. It's okay. Right, now the front section, just accept that that's going to keep falling off, right? Basically what we've got is we've got the driver, and we've got like a swiveling control seat at the back where one of our scientist boys sits, and it's got a tracking radar that can go up and down like this, and he's got a classic space control panel, and he would basically launch the rocket. Now, of course, because I'm military minded with everything, this wasn't a space rocket, it was a missile, in my opinion. Anyway, here is our classic space guy in red. probably the best logo on these ones so far. I always thought it was odd they had no visors on their helmets, but I've since kind of, in my head canon, they've got like force fields over their face plates, because also the bases, they never had doors, they always had a wall missing, so I just assume it's a force field that keeps air in. So yeah, he's a very nice figure. And then on the back here we've got our first white spaceman today. Also a very nice looking logo, very nice looking face there. Some marks there on the helmet that I might wash off, but he's also very, very tight figure. Now, one thing that always bugged me was, let me just put these guys back in case they need to make a quick escape. One thing that always bugged me was that in order to launch this rocket, you have to take it apart. You have to take off these components, and now your rocket is in flight, or missile in my case. This was like for alien defense. Meaning the rocket is slightly shorter than it was, and also of course it slightly ruins the what's the word I'm looking for, the immersiveness, should I say, because you've had to take the rocket apart to launch it. We're going to come on to a set later that seems to solve this problem. I'm not going to say any more, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the front of the rocket probe back on there. I'm going to put you back on there, and there we go. Now, this one is this one's good because this one came with the front of the box. Look at that, the front of the box. This is the front of set 897. I think in other countries it was 462, like I say. So that was a nice little bonus that came with this set. And also it did come with the destructions. You can see here a nice little animation, sort of triple exposure of it elevating. Again, very simple, double-sided, showing the construction of our minifigs, the tractor section, and then the trailer section, and then the rocket. And then we've got a lovely photo here of a moon base with a permanently fixed rocket launching station. We've got this sort of tracking thingy. I was bidding on one of these on eBay, but unfortunately it got away from me. But here's the radar truck that we looked at earlier. That's set 918, the fight, or what I used to call the fighter. And I always used to try and persuade my mum to let me get another one, and she wouldn't. Well, I've got two now, so there you go. There's this, some kind of forklift. I don't think I've got that. I don't know if it was part of this space transporter set. This is like the middle one. So there was this one, and then there was the Galaxy Explorer. I never had this one, but it's on my wish list. Pretty certain I've got one of these knocking around. I've definitely got this base knocking around, and I've got this fuel tanker and this buggy. So I'm missing this and I'm missing this, but I'm very close to being able to recreate that picture. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So there we go. That's the fourth set that we have picked up, set 897. And I'm just going to put it to one side. Now, the next one is the last one I'm going to show you that I definitely know I had. And it didn't come with instructions, so I had to go, or did it? Oh, this one did. This one did. Sorry, it's the next one that didn't. Now, this is Lego set 6927. All-terrain vehicle complete with instructions and figures, and this cost me £31.60. And I may have forgotten to say the rocket launcher cost me £35.64 on eBay. I've no doubt there'll be people screaming saying you could have get it cheaper than that. I don't care. Anyway, this one I know I had. Now, this is a slightly later one because we're starting to move away from the pure transparent yellow for Windows, and we're going into this kind of transparent blue, which is more kind of like the Starfleet Voyager, I seem to recall, and also this white color scheme. So we're kind of like in a transition now for Lego Space, and this is one of the later ones, but I definitely had it. I can definitely recall playing with this one. Now, this one's quite funky. So as I say, we've got this blue kind of canopy, which it goes underneath and over at the front. We've got two minifigs with this one. So first of all, we have our our white Classic Space minifig. He's quite loose in the legs. His arms are tight. His logo on the torso is very, very faded, and his face is also scratched up a little bit. But you know, he's a veteran. He's seen a lot of things, man. And then we have another red guy here, also quite loose in the legs, but I would say in better condition generally. Intact helmet, logo's looking quite good. Oops, like you see those legs, they come off very easily. Modern Lego minifigs, the legs don't come off so easily. I don't know if it's because they've refined the torso mold or whether it's just age and the plastic stretching and wearing. I just don't know. So in the front here, we've got a steering wheel, little compartment area for them to sit, lots of aerials, a spanner, a walkie-talkie. But here's the cool thing. These kind of rocket pods come out at the back. And I don't know whether you saw what just happened. Let me just move it over here. So you would drive your what's it called again? Well, this one's called all-terrain vehicle. It's more of a sort of, anyway, kind of like a pod dispenser. Anyway, you would drive it up to its destination. You would open this up, and you'll notice as you open, the pod kind of sinks down, right? And then you can drive away and close up your rockets at the back. Quite how you, if this is the sole means of propulsion, quite how you drive away with the rockets pointing to the side, I don't know. So I can only assume this is for like speed boosts, and it must have some kind of electric motor inside. Anyway, so there's, oops, and this keeps falling off, this one. I mean, we're going to let it go because it's old, right? But this is very, very, very unclutchy on this particular side. But other than that, it's in fairly good condition. And then we have this at the back, which is kind of like, it's got legs and you would leave it behind to do surveying or whatever. And the roof opens up, not to let air in, but so that the dishes can align with whatever they want to point at. And inside we've got 4 control panels and a swivelly seat for our scientist guy to sit on. Now you do have to remove the air tanks to sit him in the seat, which is why I'm assuming that there's like some kind of force field holding in an atmosphere in here for him to work. And there's some lights on the side, and there's lots of windows all the way around. And I thought the windows opened. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Anyway, so here's the cool thing. Let's imagine, I don't know, a few hours, days, weeks, months, years later, you come back, you back up, okay, and you'll notice that you've got these studs on the side, and as you back up, when you start to squeeze in the retractable pods, you'll notice the thing lifts up. These studs here are forced up this slope, and what it's doing is it's lifting the legs off the ground, and now we can drive away again. How cool's that? It's very cool. Now, I do like this set, and I definitely had this set as a boy. The only slight downside for me is, as I say, we are moving away from the original Classic Space colour scheme now, with the sort of, you could get away with it with the Space Probe because it was a ship mounted on a trailer, but now we've kind of lost all the grey, almost all of it completely. We've still got the blue, but we also we're starting to lose the trans yellow for windows, and we've got trans blue instead. And I always thought that was a bit of a shame. So this is like a slightly later era for space Lego. And also, there isn't really a space for these two guys to sit. And if you want him to sit in the back, as I say, you've got to take off his air tanks, which is a bit of a shame. Now, this one did come with instructions, a little bit of a sort of mark on here. But these instructions, quite big, still double-sided, still playing spot the difference with the instructions, but, you know, full colour. We have one alternate build depicted here in a photo, which is quite cool, with an example here of studs not on top, studs facing the other way, which is the sort of thing you started to see with sort of Lego in this era, because we've got these sort of angular pieces that basically rotate the direction of studs. Also, the dishes come off really easily, which is I found that quite frustrating as a child, that things would come apart really easily. Modern Lego, it doesn't happen so much, but I'm not really complaining. So there we go. There's the instructions, and yeah, nice to have those with this set as well. Now, this final set that I'm going to show you, I have no instructions for it, and there is some debate in my head as to whether I even actually had this set or not. But I think I've managed to piece together my internal history. This is set 6950, Mobile Rocket Transport. Let me just bear with me while I just get it down from where I've put it up here. And you see it's coming apart. Is it coming apart, or is it just... Yeah, it's... Right. So, I have a very tangible memory of this set, whether I saw it or I was playing with it. But I've come to the conclusion that I didn't have it, but I think my cousin Matthew might have had it. So I think when my Space Lego was given to my cousin Matthew, I think he carried on collecting for a short while, and I think he had this, and it's probably his one that I played with. And I'm going to tell you why, because I don't think I had yellow spacemen. And as I said earlier, my era was the white and the red spacemen, and the yellow spacemen I think just started coming out after I'd stopped collecting Space Lego for the reasons that I went into earlier, basically my own negligence. And there's two yellow guys with this one. Now, do you remember earlier with the mobile rocket launcher, I said that it ruined my immersion having to take this missile rocket, having to take it apart in order to get it spaceborne. I think Lego were listening to me secretly, because this set has solved that problem. Now, let me show you what's going on here, because this set is enormous compared to the vehicles that I had, right? So we've got 4 axles with 2 wheels on each. So basically they can go over bumpy surfaces independently because they move up and down. The back ones turn, okay, and we have another rocket booster at the back there for the vehicle. So basically this thing is able to turn, albeit with rear steering, so that's quite funky. We've got what must be some kind of fuel tank or fuel distribution system in here, because we've got these kind of pipes, these wheels here, and that's replicated on both sides. So I'm assuming this is for fueling the giant rocket slash missile that you see on top. We've got ladders on the side here, lots of aerials and things everywhere. But here's the main feature, right? And this is so basically this articulates in 2 different ways. Now, in theory, I think you could possibly launch the rocket like that, but I think what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put it on the ground like this, like the other mobile rocket launcher, and then where this aerial is, these doors open up. Now, what you can do is you can now drive away. In fact, yeah, it must be like that. You couldn't possibly launch it like that because the backs of these boosters would hit the side. Anyway, having now deployed your rocket slash missile, you can now drive away, and you can now redeploy. Let me show you that. You can now redeploy your launching mechanism, close up the doors, and presumably track it with this radar. Although the radar itself doesn't move independently, you'd have to move it and then angle your vehicle to track. But I get that's okay. So you can see here, we've got these pieces here that kind of replicate like sort of pipes or sort of fuel supply. So you can imagine this being the fuel tank for the rocket, and these control the fuel supply, presumably for the different boosters, and kind of feed into the rocket. So the rocket remains in one piece, and it's quite big. And again, in my head, if I'd had this set, and I don't think I did, but I have a very strong memory of this set, but this would have been a missile. It's got to be a missile, because my moon base would have been military in nature. Now let's have a look at the figs. I thought I had some with one with a broken helmet. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. Hang on, let me just check something. Oh yeah, there we go. So earlier on I said I'd show you a broken helmet. It turns out it was the first one. Look, these helmets, these early space helmets, very thin here on the sort of chin strap. And I don't know if you can see that, but they would break and open, and you can, so but apart from that one, most of these guys are okay. Yeah, so anyway, 2 yellow space minifigs. Now, as I say, I think this was past my era. Yellow guys, it started just to come out like a few years later. And this set cost me £35.98, by the way. So this guy, lovely looking face, logo very worn. Basically, he's a naked Lego figure, though, isn't he? If you took the air tanks off him, he could go for a naked figure. This logo is worn in a different way. It's worn around the edges, but also he's got a nice face as well. You also get a couple of tools. So we get a walkie-talkie, and we get, I think this is meant to be like either a camera or a probe. Of course, in my mind, it's a gun. And of course, that was that opinion was justified, because when I think the first Star Wars Lego sets came out and you had a Hoth set, there was a Hoth trooper running around with this as a gun. So there you go. Enough space for both guys to sit inside. We've gone back to the trans yellow, which I think looks better. We've gone back to the grey, which is also cool. And there we go. That's our sort of that's our mobile rocket transport. I'm just going to put these guys back in so they can drive it away in case the lunar monsters attack, because that's always something you have to worry about. So anyway, that was my story about my original Lego moon base and my eternal guilt over what I allowed to happen to it. And I've never got over it, and that's probably why I collect Lego to this day, to make up for it. I don't know. Probably psychiatrists probably have a field day with me. Anyway, the amount of toys and things I've got around. Anyway, there we go. As I say, I didn't get instructions with this one, but also look, the suspension. It's really cool. It's a cool set. But as I say, now that I've played with it, I don't think I had one, but it's been on my wish list for a little while. Now I've got, I was bidding on another couple of sets, both of which got away from me. I'm probably done for the time being in buying space Lego. There are about 6 more sets that I want. I do have a Galaxy Explorer, but it's not in very good condition. So okay, let's make that 7. Anyway, just want to show you, this is what I've got. These are the sets that we've been looking at, 6 of them in total. Now what I'm going to do at some point is I'm going to rebuild the moon base in the lounge and put all this up again, including these new vehicles. So 6 sets, 4 of which came with instructions. That's pretty good. I rebuilt this one using instructions online. So yeah, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Total Ramblings. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I've got some more Lego coming up probably tomorrow. I'm going to try and do a Lego Friday, which I haven't done for ages. It's not a Star Wars set. It's something else that we've not seen before on this channel. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. Please do all the usual YouTubey stuff, like, subscribe, comment, share, etc, etc, etc. And I hope very much to see you in the very next episode. Thank you and bye-bye.